Okay, I'm never prepared for these videos, but here we go again. This is regarding Torquay Police years of abuse. Let's go right back to the beginning. I was in the care abuse system from the age of 11. It was absolute pure abuse every single day. For me, it was because I stood up to them and told them, you can't do this. Yes, we can. And they made sure to try to prove to me that they could. And it was, no, you weren't allowed clothes, as I've said before. But I'm not going to go there on that one. That's for another video. And believe me, this is coming. What they done was absolutely horrendous abuse, state-enabled abuse towards kids from the age of 7 years old. 7 years old, little kids, abusing them, sick. So obviously that's going to have had some impact because I was targeted for standing up to them. As you know, I'm in contact with girls from back then. It's Facebook, of course you are. So they will absolutely say that I was an absolute champion against them vile, horrible child abusers. I've said it before, I kept a diary of abuse because it was just, I knew you can't do this to us. They were doing it. They were just outright blatant doing it. So it was, I'm not having this. I'm not standing for it. One way or another, I will get back to you on this one and show you that you cannot do this to us. It took me years, but they had me for 3.5 years. And, I would go at the end of term. There was terms between 9 and 6 weeks, and obviously I'd get finally after every single day they targeted me. All the staff, there was just one used to stand by me, and this is very important. As one set of staff went off duty and another set of staff would come on, say night and day care staff, whatever, care bollocks, excuse me, but they were absolute abusers. They would write notes on you, whatever suited them, they put on them records. They had it in for you and they were targeting you, so they would just write, get here, she done this or she done that. No, I didn't do any of that. You wanted me to be punished on the next shift after you left, and you made sure I was, for telling you can't do this to us. So that went on and on and on for 3.5 years, and as I say, that's another video, and you will be blinded by the content. So that clearly would have had an effect. I got left there. Eventually, they freed me and said that basically they couldn't do anything for me. Break me, damage me anymore. Is that what you were saying? I read the social services burnt all the records. Dirty, sly government, state-enabled abuse, and then state covered up. Disgusting. Councils, Staffordshire Council, the council where I'm from, the social services, all of them, taking Polaroid pictures, giving them to the girls who were battered to the floor, abused, and social services, we didn't see that. Didn't you know? Yes, you did. I won a case against them on the grounds that I had kept that diary. And everybody voiced that I had. And the other thing was the old doctor who had worked there kept records, and he died, and them records still were held. So they'd burnt all the evidence, but there was the evidence, and people confirmed my story, that I stood up to them, I kept diaries, I took photos. So that was how that was achieved, pinned down, was exposed. So when I got, I left, and my family, I can't stand my mother. Well, she put me in the first place. What am I supposed to do? Thank her. I can't stand her. It's noted. I cannot stand my mother. So, and I'm one of 5, then none of us can stand her. So obviously, that would be a very disrupting thing in your life, and it certainly was for me. So when I left, coming from where I do, and I got involved with drugs, as many people do. I started dabbling with them. You've got Davina McCall and Russell Brand, and there's many a famous name who've indulged, let's say. But what happened for me was I had a post-traumatic stress disorder breakdown, which was alongside, let me think, when you have a child after what is it? It'll come to me at some point, but yeah, so it was just on the floor, completely, boom, and my head just went. Everything that was stuffed down and down and down for years and years and years and years. So the reason really behind taking drugs was to bury it as deeply as I could, so I didn't have to feel the pain of it all, to be truthful. So I got in trouble with the police a couple of times. Basically, they hate Scousers, as I said before, and that isn't just me saying it. They hate us. So in Devon, Turkey, they hate us. They really targeted. The hate us for us is unbelievable. So yeah, I was their favourite person, wasn't I? But that all changed, and I sorted my life out more than, and I couldn't write a note for my children's school until I was 30 years old. My kids would write them themselves. They could write better than I could when they learned to write. So I caught them later when I had gone back to college that's what they were doing, sneaking notes to the school on their own. But so I went to college and I achieved rapidly. And I had a brilliant probation officer, as it goes, and she was the first person to ever believe me, accept what I was saying. For years and years I've been abused all them years. No one would listen for 16 years. And she did, but not only that, she made me, they made me feel worthless, whereas she gave me value, and I valued myself. So I ended up volunteering for probation alongside my studies. I studied law and that's the most difficult subject you can study, and I was barely able to write legibly, but I had it up here. Counselling, IT, maths I was scraped through on by a brilliant Scottish teacher, Glaswegian teacher. He was really cool and he sneaked me past, to be truthful with you. Psychology, sociology, all kinds. So I basically rose in the ranks very, very quickly and was accepted by probation. But the term really was that it was, basically because I'm a respected person, and I worked in prisons, men's prisons, in adult education. I was known by the offenders as one of the lads, really. I've always been one of the lads. But respected, and also respected on the professional side. I've got shining, what are they? Sometimes my memory blanks, old. References. Brilliant references. So I was asked to work for adult education, and then it went on to Home Office. But in this time, I've been seriously experiencing police abuse from Torquay Police. But, they battered me when they arrested me. They battered me in the cell. I smashed my head off the wall, handcuffed, and my leg. I was in agony for weeks after that. That was the first assault by them, came out of nowhere. Two police women handcuffed behind my back. And, I couldn't even defend myself from a fall to stop my head smashing off the wall. Like, when I went down, they just threw me down, and that's what they do. So, That was the first. But they did other things to me. Like, you know, I was petty crime, like possession of drugs. Of course I was, because I was, Davina we call them, I don't mean to put it on them, like Anthony Bourdain, they had drug addictions. Do you think they never did anything petty crime in any manner, or had, you know, if they didn't have a possession of drugs charge, then there was something fishy about that, you know? So, yeah, basically I was not, I was in court one time, and I've got 2 kids, and I had to be like, you know, I was majorly responsible for them. Of course I was, I'm 300 miles away from where I come from, and it's priority, isn't it, you know? And the police put things on me falsely, like she took into consideration all of this and this and this, and I'm standing in court like a sheep, didn't dare open my mouth to say. I'm thinking, no, I did not. Where's this come from? What's this about? They just threw it on me because I was at, you know, the mercy of the cause as a mother, and I couldn't open my mouth. I just had to stand there and take it. But as I say again, like my neighbours next door, they created false records on an innocent woman to destroy her. Episode 5, series 3, or vice versa. Google it. So yeah, so then as I say, I was asked then to work for adult education as a development worker. I was to suit me around childcare and so forth. And then very quickly after that, what happened was I was working on a voluntary basis for probation, but for a number of years, and you know, I was highly respected for my work. They know me back to front, and they know me inside out. There is no question about that. And they know exactly who I am, and I wouldn't gain the positions I had from the position I came from, you know. I was at my ex-probation officer's 50th wedding anniversary, or 25th, 30th, years ago, so I don't know. She's a brilliant woman, but the security in probation were glaring at me. Then in London, a prison officer was found to have had a mobile phone, brought one in for an offender. This kicked off a nationwide alert from the Home Office, security checks. So after a year of being considered the best worker in Shannon's Wood Prison, Devon, adult, I created, information, advice and guidance I took into there, and that went nationwide in probation, throughout all probation in the country. That was in my initiative. It was that programme I was working with Torbay Council, not only for adult education. I was deeply involved in housing for released prisoners and so forth. So working in the community with police officers, but they didn't actually, this is a very important point, they didn't know that I was what they considered an offender, ex-offender. And I would sit there and have to listen, and this isn't me, this is me telling you straight. They would slag off, you know, these people, a lot of people, they will reform from gangs or, you know, drug addiction and go into schools and give talks and all of this. The police was sitting there absolutely ripping them to bits. Absolutely. And I was sitting there thinking, little do you know, that's me, you know, I'm one of them. And having to sit there and listen to them, and I had to sort of just let that pass me by. But I was fully aware of the attitude, and a really stinking bad attitude. You know, they would not let up. You are worthless. You are worthless. I'm sorry, please, but you're not anybody. You're nobody. You're nobody yourself, you know. You get your little keepsake knives, my first arrest and all that. I mean, how childish is that? Grow up and stop beating women. Stop beating women mostly, you know, or beating men, beating anyone. It's, you stop. Just stop. Oh, I wouldn't be sitting here making this video, quite frankly. And I know you're watching me right now. When I post this video, I know you'll see it. and I don't care. So then basically in the security check, I was flagged up, police, Devon and Cornwall, Torquay Police, and told after a year of exemplary work that I wasn't required to work in Chelmsford prison anymore. And it was just like, well, basically, I'll tell you how shocked everyone was by that. Probation walked out on them in protest in my defence, because they were undermining probation's opinion of me and security risk, and obviously that would greatly offend them. You know, that they are probation considered a risk of offenders, and the police are undermining them when they've got no professionalism in that area. So you can imagine probation's attitude. It was, wow, you know, they were not happy. So it was just a case of take it, you know what I mean, whatever. I was told I was the best worker that they'd ever had in Chelmsford prison, and that was it, really. So I continued with adult education, and I still worked in the community with the community police and job centres. I was working with post-release prisoners, and that, you know, that was it was a new thing for the Home Office, the Ministry of Justice, to work with pre and post-release offenders, enabling them and supporting them back into the community. I was part of the pilot scheme for that. And so then I think probation, really, they thought that was an injustice towards me. And I wasn't aware of it. I would have gone for probation officer jobs. That's something I really would have liked to have done. It worked for me, didn't it? You know, you can't knock that. And I have great respect for probation, or did. I'm not sure where I stand anymore, and I'll be honest about it. I'm going to be honest about everything, because why shouldn't I be the situation I'm in? So then I was asked by someone very senior in probation, made aware of a position that a pilot scheme again by the Home Office and Ministry of Justice, where there was youth sentencing in the community. They brought in adult sentencing in the community in 2004. So I was asked to be officer in charge of the South Hams by probation, senior probation, to apply for the job, which I did. And it was, you know, Home Office and Criminal Justice panel. And yeah, I don't know, I must have done okay. The only thing was, there would been an officer in charge of the junior centre for years, Mike Yulden in Torquay, well, South Hams, police officer. And he had basically what I did not. The one thing I did not, and that was management skills. But my plan, you know, my strategies and plans were exactly what was required for the job. He didn't have that. I had that. Therefore, we were put together. But he, because of his management skills, was given officer in charge. I was given deputy officer in charge as a position. And when we came to meet, I learned that he was a police officer, but I'd worked with the police before in the community. No problem there. And don't worry about that. It was clarified that I would be happy to work with the police and could happily work with the police before that position was ever offered to me, because then I learned that everybody in that system of youth offending was then ranked into the pilot scheme for adult offenders in community sentencing. All police, every one of them, every last one of them, on huge wages as a sideline, employed by the police. So there I was, the scouser, they hate, in a senior position. They hated. They'd forced me out of the prison work. Oh dear, problem. And it was, I was like, oh, what was it? I remember I remember saying to my dad on the phone, panicking a little bit about it, because it was like, oh God, but they've got no, I've got a Scouse accent. That was it. I've got a Scouse accent and previous offences, and they haven't. And my dad went, that's two things they haven't got. So it was, I felt intimidated, and I was right to be so, because I'm not intimidated by anyone, but this was like a lot of, I knew there'd be a lot of negativity, and so I fronted it out. And the first meeting with the Mike Yulden in Torquay Police Station was he couldn't get his hands on my plans and implementations for that programme, a pilot scheme for the Home Office and Ministry of Justice, quick enough. Out my hands, flew the copier, and he was on it like a rocket. And it came to light as to why afterwards, to steal them and to push me out. So we, the first, it was a pilot scheme. So he obviously I was able to employ people as well, but no. Mike Yulden had every policeman under the sun in there like a shot. £22.50 an hour, £50 per head, 50 pence per head per client. That was like a lot of money, really, to be working as a sideline as a police officer. So I will highlight, when you think, well, the wages and this, I can tell you now they've got great sidelines of employment and income. Besides, there are police in many areas of the system who are, doing their daily job and then making a lot of money out of matters such as community sense. And so let's just expose that one right away, because I'm highly aware of it. It's not spite, it's just being straight, so we had a meeting, all the recruited staff, myself, and I was senior to all of them except the one in that room, all police. And they didn't even speak. They just didn't even acknowledge me. Nothing. And I did step forward, because, I wasn't in that position because I couldn't handle it. I could handle it. And I just said, oh, sorry, so I'm senior to, in other words, pointing it straight out to them, my position, which was being absolutely abused already. It was, whoa, wait a minute. And yeah, it was just unreal. Next thing, I hear that they're kicking up murder, blue murder. She's got this is what senior probation told me, is that they've got massive issues going to the Home Office and saying all about that. I have a previous offence and you can't have a previous offence and work for the Home Office and all of this. Yeah. So, it was just like they were kicking up murder. Torquay police were absolute murder. And I was made aware, highly aware, that they were putting pressure on every which direction over my employment. So then the best bit come. They set me up. They absolutely set me up. I don't know if you can see that. Stabbing case, mum's misery, yeah. I've gone through hell. I spent well over a year. I resigned from the Home Office position, community sense, and I resigned from adult education. That was it, because I was honourable enough. I had the honour for that, respect for the people who put me in that position, to not bring shame on them, to do the right thing. I was doing the right thing. I didn't want it to be all over local papers. I was being told by a barrister, you're going to get 5 years for this. I was in. I went through I've been through hell, that statement. I've been through hell and high water because the person who had committed the crime was a girlfriend of this guy. Torquay detective. And when I first came to Torquay, they were shouting her name after me down the street, right? Years before all this. And I'm going, what's that about? They were always mistaking me for this person. And yeah, I knew this person was, they were police, and this person was with the police. And yeah, I knew that for years. But yeah, they pulled a cracker on me. My barrister told me that Torquay Police, Devon and Cornwall Police had thrown the case. She stabbed my neighbour. I stopped it all. I ran in, not knowing what the hell was going on, just, whoa, what the hell? And stopped it all. I was literally a hero in it, telling you straight. And I got set up for it. So it was just like everything I'd worked for, from going from barely able to write a note from my children's school to working solid for 5 years, solid. And I mean solid, you know, when I put my mind to something, there's no stopping me. And that's what they did to me. The judge said, you leave this court without a stain on your character. Complained to the chief of police when I stood up for myself at the end, and they said, you know, you can go now. I'm thinking, well, that's it. And I read a statement out, and that's how it ended up in the front page of the paper. You know, I was absolutely mortified. I've been absolutely through hell. I kept getting told, you go into jail for 5 years for this. You go. I was innocent. And Torquay Police knew it. They set me up. They swung the ID parade. My barrister told me, this is all, I want this reinvestigated. The detective in charge, right, he knew it wasn't me. All of Torquay Police knew it wasn't me. They destroyed my career. They destroyed my life. So I wanted reinvestigated. And that's final. I hope you understand that, because I'm not going to stop until that is. So yeah. So you can imagine how devastating things were, and where do you go from there? You know, gone. It was over. Just gone. And by the way, I never said, that night they took me into the police station when they arrested me for that. And that was when they took all my clothes off me and laughed at me, used excessive force the first time, and they humiliated me. And can you imagine the state I was in? Can you even imagine? I knew there and then all my work was over. That was it. But it wasn't just that. I was absolutely hounded by the person who was guilty, all their family, all of them, ongoing, all the time. So I've got it from every which direction. And the person guilty of it was laughing in my face the whole time. And I had to take that. I had to take it from Torquay Police and her getting told I'm going to get 5 years prison for what they did, lost my career, everything I'd ever worked for, gone. Honest to God, and then to take all my clothes off me and laugh and humiliate me and abuse me in the police station. When that case was over, when it was finally over, and the judge said, you leave this court without a stain on your character, I actually had just changed British legislation, as I've said before, for all abused children in the country, that they can bring a claim for damages after the age of 21 and not be statute barred, unable to proceed legally. I was qualified in law, as I said. That was mainly as well for that reason, to know what was going on lawfully to fight this case from child abuse. And I got compensated. I wouldn't call it compensators. 15,000 of each, 30,000. After what had happened in my life, utterly made a misery, pound of bricks coming through my window, through 2 rooms. I had language students in my home for 5 years, all over the globe, and learning English, and they would say my home, I was one of the best house mothers that the school had. Any troubled child would come and stay at my house. And I've got boulders flying through my windows on top of all of that going on. Can you imagine what I went through? Because I'm telling you, you couldn't. And the police knew all the way. They done it on purpose. The victim's now dead. I've seen it on Facebook. The son is utterly in grief over it, or I'd approach him and say, look, that wasn't justice. Do you want justice? Because I can give you it, And I just think, no. Alison Hernandez, yeah, Chief of Police, right? I don't care if you're on probation, yeah. I'm sorry if you're getting prosecuted or what you're doing, really. I want it investigated, okay? This is just one part of a series of videos, okay? They will all be linked to one another as they're made, because there is a build-up right now going on. I'm not going to go into it today, but I am going to keep these videos coming over the next couple of weeks, unless I'm sabotaged, attacked or abused, because that's my life these days. And yeah, we will build up the whole story along the way of what happened. I went then, with that money, I went to India. I've been numerous times, and I went to live in India for 5 years and created my own international medical company, and would fly surgeons into Harley Street, and yeah, loved it, loved the people, loved India, and it was basically, I applied for Dragon's Den Tweeter pitch and was chosen as one of only 4. So I still, it was quite a deal. A woman alone in India creating an international medical company. It's a big deal. From my background, that's a big deal. And contracts with the best hospitals in India, Apollo, and well respected by many, many surgeons I'm still in touch with to this day. Loved my life. Loved it. But the antibiotics resistance was the reason for that closure. That was the main reason why that happened. So where I will be going next with this is on to being absolutely having my life destroyed by Devon and Cornwall Police, specifically Torquay Police. I will say this, a friend of mine, a Scouser from Liverpool, in Torquay years ago, died in the cells under highly suspicious circumstances. I think it was 93, just before Christmas 93, and there was 2 inquiries about that. And you know what, in my heart of hearts, I can't really rest on that one, really. Because when I explain, and I'm going to go into huge detail, I build up a great deal to make these videos, because I hate making them. I really do. I'm photophobic all my life. I never do selfies. Hate it. But this is just making me, I'm past caring now. My life is entirely sabotaged, and I have been so abused. I will be writing books on it. But first of all, in the next 2 weeks, there will be a series of videos, and this is just the beginning of what they have done to me, my life, my career and my family. All of it gonna be told, because yeah, it's coming. So thank you once again. I will say it because this is YouTube. I write on social media at Lollipop Lisa, Rogue One Jedi. If you Google that, Lisa Rogue One Jedi, Facebook, and these videos and everything else will be loaded onto Instagram. I'm not really going to be big on Instagram. Well, I've got followers there already. I haven't even got a picture up, but I've got followers. But the reason I'm not on Instagram is because of my photophobia. So it adds up really, doesn't it? But I'm going to have to get over that, aren't I? So yeah, thank you for listening, and I will be back because the details are absolutely going to blind you and expose them for what they really are, and to protect people. That's the main aim, and to get justice, human rights. I want justice. Thank you. Bye.